Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to study about the development of behavior, a focus on heredity. In that we'll learn about the genetics of behavior. In the last few videos, we learned that the singing behavior of birds depend on the genes they carry. It also depends upon the environment and the social experience, but along with these environmental factors, genes are also responsible for the singing behavior of birds. Now, apart from singing, the other behaviors like feeding, fighting, migration, these behaviors also depend upon genes. So if these behaviors depend upon the genes, that means the mutation in a single gene also can change this behavior. Now, this effect of genes on behavior need to be tested. So for this, we have another story of a bird known as black caps. Why they are known as black caps? Because from the image only you can see they have a black region on their head. Now, before 1950s, there were no black caps in Britain during winter season. Now, after 1950s, people noticed that the number of black caps increased in Britain during winter. Now, why it happened? Black caps, these are migratory birds. That means they migrate from one place to another, that too during winter. Now, let's see their migratory route. Now, this is the migratory route of black caps. As you can see, this is Spain. Here, Great Britain. This is Germany. Here, Scandinavia. And below here, this is Western Africa. So during winter, these black caps, they migrate towards Western Africa. If they are in Germany, then from central Germany, they will migrate to Spain and then to Western Africa. If they are migrating from Scandinavia country, then from Scandinavia, they will cross Great Britain and Spain and reach to Western Africa during winter. So this is the migratory path of these birds. That means during winter, they'll migrate from other countries to Western Africa. If during migration, Great Britain come in their way, they'll cross the Britain and they will reach to Western Africa. Then why suddenly their number increased in Great Britain? So the question arises among researchers that why some black caps spend the winter in Britain while others migrate to Africa. Do they lose the behavior of migration? That means those who are not migrating to Western Africa now, did they lose the behavior of migration? So this need to be tested. Now, to understand whether these black caps lost their ability to migrate and how suddenly the number of black caps increased in Britain, the scientist named Peter Berthold and his colleagues, they performed one experiment. What they did is they captured some wild black caps from Britain and they took these black caps to their labs, which was in Germany. Now, after that, these black caps they spent the rest of winter in their labs, that is indoor. From here, they released some pairs to outdoors in their closed environment, of course, to breed. Now, some pairs breed and produce youngsters. Now, these youngsters, they never migrated before. Now, they kept this youngster in a specialized cage. What is the speciality of the cage? It consists of wires that can record their hopping. What is hopping? Jumping of birds from one branches to another. So they put these youngsters in a cage having wires that can record their hopping. Now, what their observation was, these birds became restless at night. Even their parents behaved the same way. They became restless at night. Now, this observation is very similar to songbirds. These are also migratory birds and they prepare themselves for migration by hopping. So these birds also become restless at night. The same behavior was shown by black caps. Those have never migrated. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is Earlier, it was thought that why suddenly the species increase in Britain? Maybe they lost their ability to migrate. But the conclusion is they have not lost their ability to migrate. So that means if they have not lost their ability to migrate, that means these are also migrants from some other area. That means sudden increase in their number in Britain occurred or happened because these birds have migrated from some other area to Britain. Now, the next question is from where do these black caps migrated? Now, to understand their migration or to understand from where did they migrated, another experiment was performed. Now, what is that experiment? Researchers put these black caps in a funnel shaped cage, and that cage was lined by typewriter correction paper. Now, why such arrangements were made? So that whenever the birds will try to fly, because of the funnel shape, they will slip down. And while they will slip down, what will happen? Scratch on these papers. The researchers will get scratch marks on these papers. Now, the positioning of these scratch marks will tell the researcher that on which direction the birds were trying to fly. Now, their observation was the footmarks were oriented towards west. That means the adults that has been captured from Britain, they have migrated from Belgium or Central Germany. That means the adult of Central Germany, they have the tendency to migrate towards west, that is in Britain. Now, why did they do so? Why they migrated to Britain? The reason can be migration to Britain must have increased their chance of reproductive success. The ultimate cause is the reproductive success. So they might have got the chance of reproductive success in Britain. That's why they migrated to Britain. Now, why they are benefited? Why the reproduction is better in Britain? Because in winter, the Britain is less colder compared to Germany or Belgium. So because of this, these black caps migrated to Britain. Now, then the next question is, then why some black caps are migrating up to Africa? Because to migrate up to Africa, they have to take a different migratory path or have to cross the Britain. So why some black caps are migrating up to Africa then if they can get reproductive success in Britain itself? Now, the proximate cause of this question can be they have different genes. Now we have to prove it. Somebody have to prove it. So the Berthold team again performed one experiment to prove this. They performed the same experiment which they performed earlier, that is keeping the birds in indoor, then releasing in outdoor, allow them to breed. The youngster will be put in a cage having wires that can record their hopping. But this time, the black caps were from southwestern Germany. Earlier it was they were captured from Britain. And it was observed that earlier it was captured from Britain and found that they migrated from central Germany. Now, this time the black caps were captured from southwestern Germany. Now, the observation was this is the observation. As you can see here, when they captured adult from Britain, the arrow is showing it moved towards west. Their offspring, they also moved towards west. But the young from southwestern or southern Germany, they moved in a southwest direction. So why it happened? Because of their difference in their gene. Because of their difference in their gene, they opted for different migratory pathways. Therefore, the adults of Britain or central Germany, they moved towards west, and the youngs from southwestern Germany, they moved towards southwest direction. Now, to prove it in a better way that these character or this behavior of migration, it depends upon the gene, another researcher performed another experiment. The researcher was Andreas Helbig. What the researcher did is two types of black caps were collected. Austrian black caps and southwestern Germany black caps. Now, Austrian blackcaps, they have a tendency to migrate to southeast direction, whereas southwestern Germany blackcaps, they migrate towards southwest direction. These both were allowed to breed to get a hybrid. Now, the direction of the hybrid will decide that whether this behavior is genetic dependent. And the result obtained was, so this light color going in southwest direction. That means these are southwestern Germany blackcaps. These white adults, they're going in southeast direction. That means these are Austrian blackcaps. Now their offspring, they are moving in intermediate direction because they have genes from both of their parents. One parent that move towards southwest and another parent move towards southeast. And they have genes from both the parents. So they move in an intermediate direction. So this experiment proves that the behavior of migration or the migratory pathway the bird took depends upon their genes. So that's all for this video. Now, one question from my end for you all, that is, suppose if you observe that birds are nested in large colonies, their young ones also tend to seek large colonies. And the birds that nested in small colonies, their young ones also tend to seek small colonies. How will you design an experiment to prove that it is a gene-dependent behavior? Do let me know in the comment section. If you found the video informative, please do like, share and subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for the next video notification. Till then, stay safe, stay happy.